So you want to sell some stuff to Guitar Center. Some tips here about what to expect doing that and what you should do to get the most out of what you're looking to sell. And I'm specifically talking selling to Guitar Center versus trading in. Trading in is a great way to go because, not only to get to eliminate a piece of gear that you no longer want, but when you buy something new there, you typically get at least 10% off that new item. There are some exclusions, but generally speaking, 10% off the new item. And sometimes there's a promotion to even get you 15% off that new item when you trade in a guitar for another guitar. So that's a great thing. But my tips here about just selling a guitar to Guitar Center, first and foremost, don't go in on a Saturday or Sunday and do that, because those are the two busiest days of the week at Guitar Center. And the folks who work there are really busy on those days. And their priority, rightfully so, is selling to people and checking customers out who have selected items and are ready to pay. So when you come in and you want to sell them something, that is a time-intensive process to get through, right? The person working there needs to go figure out what this guitar is. They're going to look up the serial number. They're going to go assess what those items actually sell for. Not what they are listed for, but what they sell for. That's an important distinction. And all this takes time, and meanwhile people stack up at the checkout register ready to buy things. So when you go in on a Saturday or Sunday, you're gonna be sitting there for a while, potentially, while these folks work their butts off to try to evaluate your guitar. So first tip, go during the week. Go during the day if you can during the week, because there's a lot less foot traffic in the store, and they can invest a little more time in assessing, what your instrument is that you're looking to part ways with, and then they'll give you, a market appropriate offer for that. Now, the second piece of advice here is understanding that the used gear market today is awful. It's terrible, right? And if you're trying to sell gear on your own, you're using Facebook Marketplace or Reverb or Craigslist. You know this, right? You already know this, that it's hard to sell things, and when you do, you have to consider some ramifications. So on Reverb, you got to give a percentage out. You're gonna get a shipping label paid for, and you run the risk of the item being returned to you. And moreover, you can potentially get a 1099 form. That now means you need to pay federal and state taxes on the amount of money you just received from Reverb. Same thing happens on PayPal. If you sell on the gear page and you do transactions that are outside of friends and family, PayPal is going to send you a 1099 at the end of the year. So there are hidden costs to keep in mind. That's on top of inviting strangers into your home to play your instruments and decide whether they want to buy them or not from you. Tip number 3, when you want to sell something to Guitar Center, for the love of God, clean it. There's nothing worse than having someone walk up to a counter and say, "Here's my guitar, I'd like to sell this to you," and it looks like it's been infested with mice. Please clean your guitar, have some new strings on it, have the frets cleaned, have it set up so that it's playable. Because what happens when you bring in something like that, it's disappointing for the person who's evaluating your guitar to look at it, because it's like, oh God. Then they have to go and pay their technician to restring and set up and clean the guitar and all that, and that is going to get deducted from the value of your guitar. So if it's a guitar that they're going to pay you $300 for, and it costs $70 to have the tech put new strings on and do a full setup and clean the frets and do everything that needs to be done to sell the guitar, well, that $300 you were getting is now down to $230, because one way or another you're paying for a setup on that guitar. So do yourself a favor and have all that stuff taken care of. Have the guitar clean when it comes into the store. And then the last point I'm going to be making here is understand the realities of selling an instrument to Guitar Center or any other retailer. Retailers are in business to sell things. They are not necessarily in business to just buy things. They're buying to enable the selling portion of their business. So when you go in to sell your guitar, you need to understand what your guitar is actually sold for in the past. And a good way to do that is to use a computer, not your phone. Go on to reverb.com, look up your exact item. Same year, same make, same condition, and down the left-hand side is a button that you can pick on the filters that says show only. So first do used, get your model and your year, and then do show only, and then do sold. And then you'll see the actual sold prices for your item. And you'll see that there may be a range. Maybe it sold for $1,000, some sold for $750, some sold for $1,100. When you go into a retailer, they're gonna look at it from a risk standpoint because they are outlying the money for your instrument. And they're gonna look at the lower end of those sold items. So if it's a range of $750 to $1,000, they're gonna probably base it on about $750 or $800. And then a retailer is gonna offer you in the range of half of that. And that assumes that the guitar is in good working order and it doesn't need a setup and new strings and cleaning and all the other stuff that I just talked about. It's a guitar that they can literally just wipe down and hang it on the wall and go and sell it the next day. And again, the realistic expectation is to expect roughly half of, what the lower end of your item has been selling for on Reverb. That's the expectation you have. And sometimes people don't understand that element and they think that the retailer should be paying them a lot more to what people are asking for the guitars. And that's just bad business. No one's ever going to do that. So you have to remember, you now aren't involved in getting a 1099. You aren't inviting strangers into your home. You aren't dealing with returns. You are offloading the risk to the retailer to now hope that guitar sells. I know in my experience, if I'm buying something like that in a retail environment, I don't want it hanging on the wall for more than 2 weeks. So I'm going to buy low, I'm going to sell low and get that thing to move. That's just, my mentality on it. And it works. And when people sell the guitar, they're happy to get the money in their pocket. And then on the back end, the people buying it are happy because they're getting a great market price on whatever it is that I bought. And I'm happy because I didn't have to look at it on the wall for a long period of time, right? So the store didn't waste its money on the acquisition. So those are the tips, And if you're selling because you want to trade in, then the store is more likely to give you a little more on the valuation of your trade-in. It's just the way it is because they want you to buy the guitar that's new. And then don't forget you get those promos too at Guitar Center. So those are my tips. Clean it, have it set up, have realistic expectations, and try to go in during the week if you can when the store is a lot less busy. It'll be a lot better experience for you and a lot better experience for those who work behind the counter. Take care.